Hello everybody and welcome to this new video, still about my project Parlez-vous français, and I have been showing the development of this quiz and that page in particular. So in previous videos I showed you the design, I showed you how I implemented the design into a code, and how I created the functionality of the quiz. And today I will explain how I did to centralize all of the content of the quiz inside of a unique file, a JSON file. So that content, which is for the moment hard-coded in my HTML and also in my JavaScript, will be now rendered dynamically from the JSON file, and it will be obviously much easier also for me to update and create new content for my website. Really, the purpose of this video is to explain my approach and how I did it. And I won't go into the details of my JavaScript code. I will only explain how I proceeded for the H1, right? So the first thing that I did is that I created the JSON, and to create it, it was quite straightforward because the structure of my JSON is really the structure of what I have in my UI. So meaning here I have the definitions of each word that we need to guess. You see here inside of the block translation, I have word CSIS with the translation in English and translation in Spanish. And it's the same for the next block. You can see here, and then the sentences are gathered inside of an array sentences. This block in my interface, and here I replaced the input with a star. That will make the process of creating the content much easier for me and visual. And then I gather all the solutions that I display here, and also the solution are the words that I'm using to validate each input. So for instance, this will be validated to green, okay. So I gathered them inside of the array solution. And so that would be the content related to this quiz in particular, but I also created another quiz with the homonyms pat, just to make sure that the structure of the JSON works accordingly to what I expect. I want to explain why I didn't actually create an array of the title or a property of the title, better said, because it won't be an array, it would be a string. It's because I want to avoid repetition, and since those words, the title consists of just taking the words of the definition, so I will just use those words and format them to create the title. And this is actually the process that I will explain to you now. So what I want is to look for those values inside of the JSON and then put them inside of the H1 element of my HTML, of the DOM. And this is what I have been preparing my JavaScript to do so. So I created the title H1 variable, and I am looking for the element H1 of the DOM, so the element which has the ID title H1. So I would also be able to just get the tag, the H1 tag, but since for the rest of the JavaScript, I am selecting the element of the DOM either by their ID, either by their class. I want to have the same practice for everything. And then I want to collect the values of the property word inside of the translation array, inside of my quiz array of the data JSON. And this is what I will do. But for that, obviously, I need to have access to the JSON. So this is what this piece of code is about. I am looking for the path of my data JSON, which is a JSON type. And here, because I am in a vanilla JavaScript environment, I am using the keyword with instead of asserts. And I gather this path inside of the variable quiz data. So now I will collect inside of a loop the word of each index of the array translations. As far as there is a next index, I will proceed to the loop. And I will gather all of the values inside of the JSON, quiz data, quiz, translation arrays. I pick the value of the word, and I will gather them inside of an array, which name is words translation, and that I created previously. And now that I have those values gathered in that array, I will be able to push those values inside of my H1 element inside of the DOM. So I will push the text collected inside of this array. I will convert this array as a string, so I will be able to format the separation between the values with a comma and a space. And as a result, we have this in the UI. Something that I want to explain, but you already know, of course, is that you don't see the text here because this is actually the reason why I'm centralizing and making this text dynamic. It's not hard-coded, so you won't see any text in between the H1 tag. But obviously, if we are looking at the HTML at the DOM, you will see that the text here is printed. And if I want to update my content, I can do it from now from the JSON file. So let's change SAIS to SES. I save it, and we see that it has been updated in the interface. So that's perfect, everything is working. And what is the next step for me is to make sure that the content is accessible, properly accessible. So I will add the ARIA attributes. I will make a next video about that. Thank you for listening, and see you soon.